It's called Merle, Hank, and Johnny. Well, when I was just a kid out in the Midwest, you grew your hair as long as it could go. Farm boys got down in the dirt and wrestled. Topsoil blew as far as Ohio. We got our records up at the hardware. Spent every last dime on rock and roll. But on the radio it was Merle, Hank, and Johnny, Buck Owens, Jimmy Rogers, and George Jones. I grew up and I drifted from the Midwest, seen London, New York, and Montreal. The music that we listened to had drum machines. We rocked as they kicked down the Berlin Wall. Well, my young years sometimes felt like someone else's. Every now and then I'd hear it wafting low. Buck Owens, Jimmy Rogers, and George Jones. Silver wings, I'm so lonesome I could cry. Stuck in Folsom Prison without you. I got a tiger by the tail, T-Ford, Texas. Blue must be the color of the blues. Sunny skies of California, and I don't know where the days of time have flown. And I look into the mirror, don't know where that kid is gone, 'cause even now I got a young one of my own. And I wonder what's the music she'll hold inside her heart. Cartoon kids, they all sing rock and roll, but I make sure she hears Merle, Hank, and Johnny, Buck Owens, Jimmy Rogers, and George Jones. Silver wings, I'm so lonesome I could cry. Stuck in Folsom Prison without you. I got a tiger by the tail, T-Ford, Texas. Blue must be the color of the blues. Be the color of the blue.
I'm here with Dan Byrne, one of my favorite songwriters. It's quite an honor to talk to him today and here at the Folk Alliance Conference. Dan, how did you find out about the Folk Alliance Conference? And it seemed like you were a late addition to the lineup this year.
Well, I was. They said, we got a spot for you, so I said, okay. I've been to a few of them, but it's been a little while, so
yeah,
it's nice to come back.
Right. And so you grew up in small town Iowa with two musician parents. What was it like growing up in that atmosphere?
Well, my dad was a classical pianist and composer, and so pretty much the piano was going all the time.
Right.
That's how my sister used to say that she couldn't sleep unless he was playing. So, there was really no no room to play the piano.
Right.
'Cause that was taken up, so
Right.
I had to find something else to do.
And so you moved out to Los Angeles in the early 90s. What was happening at that time out there? Who were your contemporaries that were playing music and influencing you at that time?
Well, I mean, I remember going to open mics with people like Beck,
Mm-hmm.
you know. He was just like a kid with a homemade harmonica rack. And
Yeah,
looked like he might have made his own clothes even.
yeah,
It was a good time to be there. There's a lot of really good songwriters and you know, always places to play, and it just, yeah, I don't know, it felt like a fertile ground.
I have to also ask you about, so you put out 3 albums in 2012, and one of them was about baseball, and I'm a huge baseball fan also. Rooting for the Royals has been really tough in my lifetime, but I think we're going to win. We're going to win next year, I think. We're going to put out a winning team, I think. But what is it about baseball and the narratives and characters of those stories that drew you to make an album about baseball?
Well, it's not something I necessarily set out to do. It's just over time I had amassed a pretty sizable number of baseball songs. I mean, I think there's something about the rhythm of the game that sort of lends itself not just to songwriting, but, you know, stories and fiction and movies. There's a lot of time between pitches. There's a lot of time to sort of stand around, both for the players and for the fans, just sort of, you know, and if you grew up sort of reading the lore and all those crazy stories, and it just, and then when I started going to games in Wrigley Field when I moved to Chicago, that's when I really started writing a lot about baseball.
I heard an interview with you recently where you said that good songwriters should get out of the way of their songs, and I was curious if you could expand on that thought a little bit.
Well, I think the song lives, and it's almost more discovering it and letting it out than look, Ma, I'm writing.
Yeah.
School of writing, you know. I think, you know, over time, maybe becoming more comfortable with who you are, and just letting the song itself breathe. It's a hard thing to explain in a few words, I
Sure.
think, but I think in a lot of different walks of life, people can experience that kind of thing. In sports, you know, you hear like a tennis player saying, you know, I felt like I was standing on the side watching myself play,
Right.
and that's when things really start to go, you know, sort of forget yourself, get your head out of the way,
Right.
let your body flow, and it's the same with writing.
Does that same thing happen when you're performing live too, or like an athlete where you can see
Absolutely.
yourself?
Yeah.
And I bet it doesn't happen every night, but
Or maybe it might happen at certain moments,
Right.
you know, and then certain nights the whole thing might feel that way.
and I've followed your tour schedule for a long time, and I noticed you play in some unusual locations, or like Alaska, for instance. What is it about those kind of small towns, or maybe places that are off the beaten track a little bit, that appeals to you?
Well, I mean, in the case of Alaska, I've been going back many times. I mean, sometimes when you play places that they don't, you know, they're not on the usual run.
Yeah.
They can be better listeners, more appreciative sometimes, and plus, you know, you tend to find people who maybe are a little more offbeat,
Yeah.
a little
Right.
different, and they can sometimes be great audiences. I mean, played some places in Europe where language might have seemed like it was going to be a stumbling block. I mean, there's certain countries in Europe where they speak English really well, but there's others that not so much, you know.
Right.
But sometimes those can be surprisingly great audiences. And then that's when you realize, well, songs are not just, it's not just a literary exercise, you know.
Right.
There's a lot more going on.
Yeah, it's all about the feeling too, and that translates across languages.
Feelings, vibrations,
Yep.
melody.
Right, right. All right. Well, I think that's all I had in mind for you today. I really appreciate it. You've been a favorite of mine for a long time, so it's great to talk to you.
Well, I'm glad we could do this. Thanks. This
Yeah.
one's called Jerusalem. When I tell you that I love you, don't test my love. Accept my love. Don't test my love. 'Cause maybe I don't love you all that much. Don't ask what kind of music I wanna play tonight. Just stay a while. Hear for yourself a while. And if you must put me in a box, make sure it's a big box with lots of windows and a door to walk through and a nice hot chimney, so we can burn, burn, burn everything that we don't like and watch the ashes fly up to heaven, maybe all the way to India. I'd like that. Ancient kings came to my door. They said, "You want to be an ancient king too?" I said, "Oh yes, very much, but I think my timing's wrong." They said, "Time is relative, or did you misread Einstein?" I said, "You really mean it?" They said, "What do you think we come here for? Goddamn to health or something?" Everybody's waiting for the Messiah. The Jews are waiting, Christians are waiting, also the Muslims. It's like everybody's waiting. They've been waiting a long time. I know how I hate to wait, like even for a bus or something, an important phone call. So I can just imagine I'm darned impatient. Everybody must be getting, so I think it's time now, time to reveal myself. I am the Messiah, I am the Messiah, I am the Messiah, I am the Messiah. Yeah, I think you heard me right, I am the Messiah. I was gonna wait till next year, build up the suspense a little, make it a really big surprise, but I could not resist. It's like when you got a really big secret, you're just bursting to tell someone. It was sort of like that with this, and now that I've told you, I feel this great weight lifted. Dr. Nussbaum was right, he's my therapist. He said get it out of the open. I spent 10 whole days in Jerusalem, Jerusalem, sweet Jerusalem, and all I ate was olives, nothing but olives, mountains of olives. It was a good 10 days. I like olives, I like you too. So when I tell you that I love you, don't test my love. Accept my love, don't test my love. 'Cause baby, I don't love you